And if they expect me to walk away from Luton with nothing, I'll make very sure there's nothing to walk away from.
Hello and welcome back to the Oak Road Hatter podcast. I'm Billy Mully, joined today by Jamie Castle as we preview Saturday's clash against Brentford. Jamie, how are you?
Yeah, good. I was good, but sat here now starting to think about Brentford at home at the weekend. It was almost out of my memory a little bit because of work and other such things. And albeit it's only Wednesday as we record this, but now looking ahead to Saturday, it really is enormous, obviously given the result on Monday as well. These are the games where I think nerves start to come into play. So thanks to the pod, I'm probably going to be nervous for the rest of the week now.
I think that's the beauty of being a Luton fan. We've mentioned it before that every season there seems to be something riding on it, and go back to last season, being fighting for the playoffs and then officially getting it, and then being the top dog, finishing in third place. Season before, playoffs again. Always seems to be something riding on a season when it comes to this sort of crunch end of the season. You'd think you'd get used to the nerves, but no. I think being in the Premier League brings about all these different kind of feelings. As we said, it's Brentford on Saturday, game 34 of 38. We really, truly are coming to the crunch end of this campaign. And against what most of the footballing world predicted, we are fighting. We are in the battle, and we're in a very good position, you'd like to think. And you think if we do get 3 points come Saturday, then we're in that even better, more favourable position. But yeah, that is a long way away. It's going very, very slowly this week, and I'm sure it will continue to as nerves mount up. As we say, Brentford, I think we mentioned on the last pod, they're 15th. They're kind of, at the moment, out of it, but we can drag them back in if we were to get all 3 points. Jamie, how do you assess this season from sort of a Brentford standpoint?
It's been a really weird season, I think, for them. Clearly not helped for the Tony ban for 6 months. So missed their key forward for half the season. Themselves have had their injury issues, probably not to the extent that we have, but missed some pretty big players, especially defensively, for big parts of the year. Like Rico Henry and Ethan Pinnock, who's just coming back now, and they're two big players for them at the back. I think Hickey's been out for a good chunk, so almost 3 of the back 4 has been out for large parts of the season. So I think that they're in the position they are because of that. I don't think the overall squad is bad. I think overall it's a good squad, and they should be home and dry by now. And I think that result last Saturday at home to Sheffield United, one of those must-win games. They've come through it and got all 3 points. Probably will see them safe. I think obviously not mathematically right now, but given the remaining fixtures, I think they go to Everton the week after us, and a couple more games where you'd expect them to get enough. I think probably 35 is the magic number at the minute, and they're free off that with 5 games to go. So I'd be shocked if they're down there. But as you say, who knows? It's in our hands. We're 7 behind them at the minute, so we could make it 4 at the weekend. And the Premier League is a funny league, because if they go to Everton and lose, and then we win away at Wolves, and suddenly that 4 becomes 1. So yeah, okay, it's not as much of a 6-pointer as the Everton game that is to come, but it's as good as, and again, we just need to worry about ourselves, get the 3 points for ourselves, and that prize now for us in the short term at the weekend is, we know, given that Everton and Forest play each other, if we win, we are outside the bottom 3 come the end of the weekend, no matter what, no matter the result in that fixture. So let's do it for us, and if we can get out of the bottom 3 with 4 games to go, that mindset shift is actually, now it's those clubs have to catch us, and I think the players deserve to be recognised for the efforts that they put in, because if we can be outside the bottom 3 with 4 to go, that's massive. That's absolutely massive.
And as mentioned on the top of the show, no one really expected us to be in the battle, let alone in the position that we are in, where, not saying that we're favourites to get out by any stretch, but we are in a good position, and we are in a position that we think's favourable, and one we actually want to be in, as opposed to chasing 5-6 points like Burnley would be. Might be even more actually from where they currently sit. Looking at Brentford and how they've fared on the road this season, they haven't been too great. 11 points from 16 games, Jamie. Scored 20, conceded 28, which, is not terrible. It sort of goes to suggest when they have been edged in games, they've been edged by kind of the single goal. They're always, and you mentioned the injury sort of issues they've had, regardless of the team they put out, similar to Luton, they will fight. They are very organised, and they've got a squad that they've used very well this season. They've been sort of forced to use the whole squad. Regardless of how well we play, you still expect Brentford to give us a tough test.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Thomas Frank tactically is a manager of a high calibre, and probably could be linked with a bigger job in the next year or two, I think. Whether that's here or overseas, I can certainly see him getting a German top flight job, for example, potentially in European football. So yeah, I think no matter what, obviously clearly they've got the injuries, but they're getting players back now. Even Pinnock, if he comes back into that back 4, is a big sort of return for them. They're starting to get a bit more depth up top, as we said off air. It was a surprise that Ivan Toney was actually an unused sub at the weekend, so he comes into the game fairly fresh. But they're players that we know how to play against. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ivan Toney is a fantastic centre forward, and deserves the praise that he's been getting, and probably will go to a top 6 team in the summer. But he's the sort of centre forward that I back Mengi if he's back, Osho if he's back, to deal with. I think it's bread and butter for Mengi, really. So yeah, it's going to be a really tough game. Like, no matter what, I can't see it being any more than 1, if not 2 goals in it. We'd love it to be 2-0, just so we get a bit of breathing space, and not go to the end 1-0 up, and those nerves continue all afternoon. But no, I'm fairly confident. It really is a strange one, because again, all that office talk after the game at City, and I was actually saying that I'm the most confident I've ever been all season that will actually do it, which is really weird to say, coming off the back of a 5-1 defeat. Okay, it's at Man City, but still, you lose 5-1. You'd expect that to potentially sort of lower confidence a little bit, but strangely, I'm the most confident I've ever been, which makes me even more nervous, I think.
Yes, it's naturally a similar feeling to sort of before the Bournemouth game, where we acknowledge that Bournemouth and Brentford are both very good teams, both with very good managers, set up very well. But naturally, when you look at the games that are still to be played, we have to view it as a winnable one. If we don't win, we're in that kind of position that maybe Forest were last week, where they played Wolves, who again, another very good team that are set up very well. But it comes down to the thinking that you need to win your home games, and this is a very good opportunity when you consider the remaining fixtures to go out and really bolster our chances of survival, especially with the uncertainty around the points deductions. Just trying to be he's not even getting into a position where we finish 1 point above the drop. It's trying to finish as many as possible just in case the situation comes where points are added back. So yeah, it's a must. I think we are entering must-win territory now, especially at home, and that is no dig at Brentford whatsoever. It's the situation we're in. It's the situation that we currently find ourselves in, and needing to get the points on the board that our performances probably deserve. Just looking at Brentford in a little bit more detail, Jamie, they ended their 9 game run, in the end of not winning with a victory over Sheffield United, probably needed for confidence, but they don't travel to us in good form, and I think that's something we could probably take advantage of.
Absolutely, and my mind cast back to that game at the G-Tech back in, December, and obviously they ran out, 3-0 in the end, but that for me was probably one of the most frustrating games all season, because that result flattered them. Okay, I think that they deserved to win because we were just off it. It was one of our rare games where our performance just wasn't quite up to scratch, and I personally was probably the game that fed into Eli getting his starting spot back, because I think Morris, he was going through a really tough spell at that time, because couldn't quite be dominant enough up top for us, and I think a few games later Eli got his starting spot. So you think that game back then, there was certainly enough in that game where you think if we play like we have been in that game again, there's no way we lose that game 3-0. Probably at worst we go there and get a point, which would be a well-earned valuable point. So you just now think, if you apply that to the game at the weekend, and clearly that's not the way it works, but there's certainly enough in our team to be able to win at home to anyone in that bottom half. As you say, it's no slight on Brentford, but at home, with our crowd, the performances that we've been putting in, just the gap to a team like Brentford is nowhere near as big as a gap to sort of Man City's and Liverpool's. So it's the onus is on us to win, and almost that adds to a bit of the pressure, because not that the external environment expects us to win, but I certainly think majority of Luton fans go into that game expecting that we're gonna fight for 3 points, and that we need the 3 points. So I think all of that just adds to hopefully a positive performance. Hopefully we can get a few back. I think Mengi looks likely. Strong rumours of Osho, and I mean Sambi was close a couple of weeks back. So hopefully if we can get Sambi in, then suddenly your back three is looking really strong, looking really strong again. You got Burke, Osho, and Mengi as a back three, Kabore or even Fred. I mean, if you could pair Fred and Kabore on that right hand side, that could be fairly exciting. So yeah, I'm in the danger of maybe being a bit too confident, but I think with getting the players back, and especially getting Sambi back would be huge in that midfield. Not that Pelly or Clark have done anything too wrong, but I think Clark is more effective further forward, and I think Sambi Lukonga is just a better player than Pelly. That's no slight on Pelly, but just based on where the players have come and been, so there'll be massive returns to the team for us.
Yeah, we said it a few weeks back. I just want to see Lukonga in a Luton shirt again. I don't care how, where, why. I just want to see him play before the season ends. And, you know, the performances he was turning in just before he got that injury, you know, they were of top half Premier League quality. And that is certainly where he is as a player. You were just sort of mentioning the injury situation there and the players that are, you know, to come back. There is a kind of expectation that there are players that are close to returning, but of course we won't know anything until nearer the end of the week. Does the Bournemouth game, though, does that give you confidence that regardless of who is put out there, regardless of how damaging the injury situation is, that we will fight for these 3 points and we'll be in a position where you know you can still be confident that we will give it a very good go and be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's one thing that we've not lacked all season is fight. No matter who's come in, as you say, look, Fred was on loan at Rotherham earlier in the year and has come back and he's fighting as well. You got Hashioka, who's new to Luton as of January, and despite maybe a level of performance not being quite up to it, you can still see that he's fighting and working hard for the team. So there's no question at all on fight. And as you say, I mean, to go 1-0 down at home to Bournemouth, you fear what's to come, right? But the fight in the team, and we fought to minute 90 plus one, and I think probably based on the fight deserved it. I think the performance was lacking against Bournemouth, but we certainly deserved it based on fight. So yeah, just the message almost to the fans is, look, we need to match that fight, even if it's a tough first 5 or 10 minutes. We need to help the players sort of fight, and by doing that, the performance helps, doesn't it? So yeah, obviously we'd love to see Mengi back and we'd love to see Osho back, but even if the back three is Kabore, Burke and Doughty again, and you still back the quality in the squad, and certainly the starting 11 to hopefully get us all 3 points.
And Jamie, in sort of recent seasons, we've seen us hit for 7 by 2 West London clubs. We've got 2 West London clubs before the season's out. Are we ruling out the possibility that another 7-0 is on the cards?
I think you have to. You could watch that game on Monday, the Chelsea-Everton game, and okay, it's tough to have this view after losing to Man City 5-1, but I don't see us having a performance like that in us. Like if we were to go 2 or 3-0 down early, I just can't see us completely capitulating. I think the City result was different because it's sort of 3-1 with 5 to go, and then they get 2 late goals. But for Chelsea to be dominant for large parts against Everton, and go 4 up at half time, then get a 5th fairly early on in the second half, I just can't see us putting in that level of performance. So yeah, I would completely rule out us shipping 7 at home to Brentford and Fulham. I would also probably rule out us getting our revenge as well. But I certainly can't see us completely capitulating and losing sort of 3 or 4 or higher nil.
Well, sort of in that spirit of comparing those 2 games, the Man City 5-1 defeat and Everton's 6-0 defeat to Chelsea, you also consider that there's a sizable gap between where Chelsea and Man City are. 5-1 against Man City is somewhat of an expectation given where we were in terms of the squad, the players that were available. Man City, are on a completely different level as well. Everton, they may have a few injuries at the moment, but you consider the strength for the squad and what they have available to them, they should not be getting beat 6-0 by anyone bar probably City. So it's a good position to be in terms of where we are at the moment, and being the ones that are chasing Everton, because they're not just thinking about their own worries in terms of how poor performances and results have been. They're also thinking of 2 clubs that are in better shape than them, potentially dislodging them from that safety position. I couldn't believe it that Everton have picked up 35 points this season. Could not believe that. It is it's just crazy. Of course, 8 points have been docked, and that throws them into this relegation battle. But I just tried to work out when they got these points, because it always seems that they've, on the back of a terrible run. But yeah, it just shows how crazy this Premier League campaign has been, and ultimately Luton Town are still in a fight. Jamie, we're going to head for a little break. When we're back, we're going to take a look at what happened 10 years ago this month when we were conference champions, and we'll also get your score prediction for Luton Town versus Brentford. We are back for part 2 of today's episode, and we're going from Premier League back to non-league. We just thought we'd add a little segment because this month, earlier in the week, it marked 10 years since Luton Town won promotion from the conference back to its rightful place in the Football League. It was a time where many things were different, Jamie. We were just discussing off air. I was, 15? You were 17. It was some of the best footballing memories given what we'd endured as even younger fans. It's one that I think we all remember fondly, not only because of what it meant, but some of the characters we had in the squad, and obviously John Still leading the squad, who was a fantastic manager, fantastic human, and somebody that still, sort of remembered very, very highly amongst the Luton community. You saw that with him being there when players were handed out their Premier League debut balls or whatever they were. It was a really fun time. It was eventually 19 points, I think we won the league by, and accumulating over 100 points and scoring over 100 goals, if I remember rightly. But yeah, we'll just I'll just want to draw on some memories of that season, because it didn't look all plain sailing at the start. Had to endure a few difficult moments, but soon enough the 5-0 wins, the 6-0 wins, the 7-0 wins started flowing, and that was a really exciting time to be a Hatter, Jamie.
Yeah, as you say, it didn't start out too good. I didn't personally go, but it's obviously to go to Southport and lose, you think, oh, here we go, season number 5 in the conference. Can't wait for season number 6. But yeah, then yes, soon it all changed. And what was it, a 27 game run, I think, either unbeaten or sort of winning. But yeah, it was a weird point in the season where you just rock up and almost not be bothered about the game, because you just rock up and get 3 points and go to the pub afterwards, and it was what it is. But yeah, I had some unbelievable games in there, obviously, as you say, 5s and 6s and with 8 as well. Yeah, it was incredible, the football we were playing at times. Andre Gray, obviously, forget where he's been since then, but I think everyone can agree how good of a player he was for us, and we all knew that he would end up maybe not the highest level, but certainly high up in the Football League pyramid, Championship level. Just the dominance that he had as a centre forward for us, and he was almost a perfect all round centre forward, especially for that level. And what a pick up from, was it Hinckley in the end, after he signed John Shaw, thinking he was like the absolute goat of non-league, given what he did for Gateshead, but then you buy this guy from Hinckley and he just dominates the league instead. Yeah, players like obviously Benson and Henry at right back, and as we said off air, Luton have been doing these Where Are They Now series, and yeah, I think they've all done a great job. Barringer as host has done really good as well. Yeah, what a series. I've not actually got around to watching the John Still one out yet, but yeah, I can't wait to sit down and watch that. As you say, he seems like he was then and still is everyone's a sort of adopted either dad or granddad, right? As a 17, almost 18-year-old boy back then, seeing this guy, this fatherly figure leading the club, is just sort of inspires everyone at the club, and is a big part of why we are where we are now. The most important promotion, as both Nathan and Rob have said since, was that conference, that promotion. And there's a few things that John Steele said that I think a lot of Luton fans live their life by now, sort of never too high, never too low. Just sort of being, just sort of trying to live your life by that is certainly added some perspective to stuff. But no, what a season, what a fun year. Would I swap way up where we are now for it? Of course we wouldn't. I think that's stupid, but it's certainly fed into why we are where we are now, and why we are the club that we are now. The foundations were laid by John Steele, and we are forever grateful for him for that.
And I won't ruin it for you, but a lot of what John Still was saying in that 45-minute special, if any Luton fan hasn't checked it out on Luton's official YouTube channel, check it out, because as you would expect, it is fantastic viewing. John Still coming across as the sort of humble legend he is. A lot of what he said was he had the right ingredients in terms of the players he had in the squad, but also the characters. And I think that's something that's he instilled, as well as sort of Gary Sweet and the larger board. But making sure we had the right people in at the club has been a massive factor in why we've grown as we've grown. And it's something that he mentioned back then was massive for him. So it's nice to see that sort of mirrored image is still going on. Of course, that gets mentioned a lot in our recruitment, that we recruit the person as well as the player. And yeah, it's something that John Still spoke of a lot. And you just look at the players we had. It was a right mix if you think about it. We had leaders. We had your Ronnie Henrys, your Steve McNulty's, Mark Tyler as well. Players that were a vocal voice, that led very well, that played a real good part in the development of the younger players. And there was a game that they actually pinpointed in the interview, not too sure, it might have been Halifax or someone like that, where we started, it might have been Grimsby, where we won at Grimsby, where we started Pelly, Cameron McGee and Matt Robinson, who were all teenagers at the time. And John Still goes on to detail how much he loved working with young players that really wanted to do good, who were enthusiastic, who were all technically good players as well. And he played a massive part in say Pelly's development, in Cameron McGee getting big moves as well. It was a real mix. We had the leaders, we had the youthful talent coming through, and we had quality players sort of in the middle of the spectrum. Your Alex Lawless's. Guttridge was what maybe on the more experienced side to things there, but again, another vocal voice. It was a fantastic team, and another thing we get a good reputation for is finding talents in lower divisions, and as you mentioned, getting Andre Gray from Hinckley just shows that it's not just since we've been a Football League club we've been finding these gems. It was back then too that we had this ability to see the potential of a player, apply it, and bring them into the right setting and see them thrive. Andre Gray, perfect example of that. Jamie, any particular memories from that season that stand out, either good or bad? Because as we started off, we said it was 1 win in 5. There were also situations where a fan got brought onto the pitch, which was quite comical at the time, but seemed a point that really galvanised our season. Are there any moments that you particularly remember, big or small?
I think you just can't remove that Cambridge away from your brain, can you? Just the way that played out. Being in that away end and being hopeful that maybe this is the game that we just really kick on and sort of grab that championship trophy, but with our hands, and say no, we are going to win this league, because as we all know, you've got to win the league to go up by automatic, which still is an absolute farce if you're seeing what's happening right now with Wrexham and Stockport coming straight up, and Chesterfield are probably looking in good shape as well. So yeah, obviously a side note, the sooner they change that to sort of 3 up, 3 down, League 2, the conference, the better. But no, that Mark Cullen goal, just the way it happened, and probably to this day one of the best limbs I've been in, like in that away end, just knowing that goal was the one that really gave us that confidence. You saw it in the Cambridge faces as well when that goal went in, that they just knew now that the title was ours. So that was certainly top 3 memories. And actually, it's a bit of both. It's quite a sad memory because it was at home on the sofa, but seeing the Kiddie v Cambridge score come in and sort of celebrating at home with sort of my dad and having a drink to celebrate promotion, but it wasn't with obviously all the Luton Town fans at the Kenny, because we absolutely bottled it at home to Braintree. To go 3-0 down to, I think there were 10 men, weren't they, because they got a red card as well. And then come back to 3-2. Alex Wall being Alex Wall. Again, just what a random player he was, by the way. He scored some cracking goals for us. I think in that Halifax game, I think I was in the box. I think I was in box 2 or box 3, right by the away end for that, and just seeing him absolutely lever it into the top bins against Halifax. But yeah, it just there's loads of small memories in there. What a season! Yeah, there's not really too much to add. I think what a season, what a squad. It's probably it's a shame that we couldn't do what Wrexham and Stockport have done since, where they've almost just bypassed League Two, and we were stuck in League Two for probably a bit too long than we thought we would be. But again, it's all fed into the reason we are where we are now, and we were able to transition some of those players out into new players that we got that eventually helped us kick on, like your Colos and your Luke Berries, who obviously is still with us. So yeah, all in all, what a squad. Love it. Love almost every single one of those players, given that there was a few players in there that were a bit annoying as well. I think Sean Wally was one. I think that left us in weird circumstances. But yeah, all in all, what a squad, what a manager. And yeah, we are forever thankful.
And to think that the season after we were very close to actually grabbing a playoff spot, and it could have been back-to-back promotions. John Still could have led us to back-to-back promotions just to, I don't think his reputation needs enhancing any further, but I think that would have gone some way to doing exactly that. But yeah, what a time to be a Luton fan, and interestingly, it probably is the promotion, bar the one to the Premier League, that sticks out as the most memorable and the most. It was just fun, wasn't it? That season just was pure fun. There were some late goals, as we mentioned, the Cambridge game, where the magnitude of that game as well, and what that goal meant made it even more special. But there were also some 7-0ers, 5-0ers. I think that was back-to-back 5-0s around Christmas time, if I remember rightly. Which was don't see too many teams do that. We loved that season, didn't we, Jamie? And it's one that will forever live on in the memories. Weirdly, we're going to take it back to the Premier League. So Premier League to non-league, back to Premier League. Sort of Pelly's journey there from West Ham to Luton, and then promotion, back to the Premier League. But we're circling back for the score prediction, and the reason why, Jamie, I'm hoping that all that positive talk about the promotion from the conference will lead you to a positive score prediction come Saturday when we host Brentford.
I think we're going to beat Hayes and Yeading. Oh, sorry, no, we got Brentford, didn't we, at the weekend, which is just crazy, by the way. I can't see past a Luton win at the minute. I hope my confidence isn't misplaced. I think it depends on who we can get back in terms of defensively, whether we get a clean sheet. But on the assumption that we may not be able to get everyone back, I'm going to go Luton Town 2, Brentford 1.
I was hoping you'd go away from that, but as you were speaking, I knew it was coming. So I'm going to go Luton 3, Brentford 1. Again, the sort of defensive situation is one that doesn't lead me to believe that it will be a clean sheet. But I think, given the magnitude of the game, given it almost feels sort of climactic that we're leading to this point, this could be a game that really propels us in terms of confidence, and the fact that we could have some of the injured sort of group back will be potentially massive. Even if we don't, I think we've shown enough fight and belief and ability that regardless of who we have in the squad, there is the ability there to go on and secure a victory. It will be much needed, especially with Everton facing off with Forest this week. That is it for today, Jamie. Big thank you for coming on and joining, and a big thank you to everybody else watching and listening at home. We're also, as mentioned before, we're going for 600 subscribers on YouTube before the end of the season. And after the last call that Jamie and Mark forced me into, pleased to report there has been some uptick. So it was worth it, weren't it, Jamie? But yes, as we mentioned, we're trying to get to 600 before the end of the campaign. Any help towards that will be greatly appreciated. But until after Saturday's game, it's goodbye from us.